Hello, everyone, and as always, welcome back to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. And today it's back into the big one, Gary Grigsby's War in the Pacific Admirals Edition. This is our Let's Play against the devilish Mr. Lodric, and it is now March 23rd, 1942, and we are going to go around in the setup phase and kind of check out the stats, check out the map, see where everything stands. As I've mentioned previously, in the next setup phase, I've already started making a bunch of videos for March 25th where we go over pretty much every counter on the map. Now, I may split that between March 25th and March 27th, do like one half of the map for 25th, then on the 27th, do the other half. I haven't quite determined that. I've already got two of the videos made, and it's a lot, when you go through every counter in this game, certainly. But for this one, we're going to do our usual kind of grand overview and just see what's going on. Maybe I'll pick a portion of the map and we'll just talk a little more specifically about that. Okay, let's go to our stats as we hover over Pearl Harbor. And you can see last time we ran 6,075 sorties. Yeah, that's a pretty good number for us. The Japanese ran 9,017. Air-to-air losses went 0 to 0, destroyed on the field 0 to 0. The Japanese did have one aircraft destroyed by flak, and operational losses, the Japanese had 6, we had 1. He's now pulled into the lead for operational losses. We are currently sitting on 237 political points, and you can see the overall score here, 17,481 to 7722. Again, 4 to 1, as if you've been watching all of these, as you well know by now, 4 to 1 is what we have to avoid. Um, Allied bases controlled 429. The Japanese now have 409, only a 20 base difference, and he can certainly make that up between Sumatra, Java, Borneo, Papua New Guinea, and others. So he will pull into lead there at some point. Allied aircraft points lost, we've lost 1217. The Japanese have lost 729. Army point losses, this is the big one, 7699 to 176. Just not bloody in the nose enough and getting too bloodied there. Allied ships sunk 423 for 3,476 points. Let's go and look what was sunk last time. And we see there are two ships that went down. Now, interestingly enough, both of these were hit in previous turns. So it's not, I mean, they went down on this turn, right? But they were hit on previous turns. So not a whole lot we could do about it other than trying to scramble back to a base somewhere, which we tried to do with both of them. The Grayling was trying to come back into Townsville, but eventually just couldn't quite make it after taking a Type 95 depth charge hit near Cons earlier. And then the destroyer, the Maury, was hit. That was up by Suva when his carriers came through there, and the Maury was taken out. 16 total points. Okay, I mean, look, that happened in previous turns. Those were much worse turns, but they finally show up here on the counter. Um, okay, let's look at our top pilots now. If you're on our Discord, which you should be, there's always a lot of interesting comments and. For each of the games that I play here on the channel, you will have noticed that Stanley has put up biographies of some of our top pilots, including Stone and Carey, I believe, and Grover. Grover was another one of those that I believe he put up because these pilots, or many of these pilots, are based on the actual pilots that were in the Pacific War. I mean, it's, well, not just the Pacific War, the Indian War as well. The war against the Axis, in this case, Japan. But really, really interesting biographies of these men, these actual men that went out and that, got gonads the size of your head flying these missions against better aircraft most of the time, and certainly better trained pilots early on and whatnot. And so, just really interesting stories. So check that out if you haven't gotten the chance. And if, you watch some of the other games on the channel, like War in the East 2, for instance, there's all kinds of good information that people put on there about the game. I look at it as kind of a supplement. So check out the Discord. I always link it underneath every video. But you can see the Hurricane 2B Trop has really been our superstar aircraft anyway, and that a lot of that also has to do with the fact that the British pilots really, for the most part, start off with much better trained or with much more experience, and so they've got better aircraft, better pilots, you're going to get better results, certainly. We only have one Flying Tiger up here, and I have to say, this game turned a little bit differently than any other game of this I've ever played. Usually, the Flying Tigers are far more effective than they were here. I do chalk that up to Laudric actually just being a really good player. He got his experienced Japanese pilots, from what I can tell anyway, or what he must have done, because we're just not getting the results. He got his experienced Japanese pilots up to fight our better pilots in the Flying Tigers very early on. Now, when you play the AI or a less experienced player, and they just kind of send in the stock Japanese pilots, you're going to have a lot better success because the Flying Tigers actually start off with really good experience and air-to-air skills. So anyway, that's top pilots. Let's look at the group reinforcement schedule. These are the aerocraft. Texans and Buffaloes into San Diego. These are really training aircraft. Mitchells. These will be really nice to get these 18 Mitchells into Canberra in 18 days. Looking forward to that. We've got a lot of Sky Trains coming into Aden. Every time I hear Sky Train, I think about the American show Soul Train. Yeah, listen to me. You're like, boy, you sounded really white when you did that. But okay, yeah, I used to love Don Cornelius and Soul Train. That's where I learned all my moves. Anyway, we get a lot of these in. These will eventually make it to Ladeau, and then from Ladeau be flying supplies into China. I mean, that's what we're really going to use those for. Catalinas, those are always welcome, certainly. P-26s come in here at San Francisco, so a new type of fighter aircraft we haven't really had a lot of so far. Those will come in. I seem to no, they're seventh. I thought that maybe they were locked to the U.S. West Coast, but no, just the opposite. I mean, they're actually not locked at all. This being in seventh means it's kind of tied to Pearl Harbor. It can come off the coast immediately, and this is Southeast Asia. So excellent, excellent. We'll get those P-26As out there as fast as we can. Ship availability, what do we have coming in? We have did the old double sort, and if we go up to ETA now, new submarine, the Drum comes in at Pearl Harbor, got a KV coming in at Victoria, destroyer in at Cape Town, one of the good British types. We've got the Foxhound and the Inconstant. I could, never mind. I'm not even going to say it. Incontinent is what that's how I always every time I look at this, that's how I read it. No, the Inconstant. That comes in at Cape Town, and then we have the Foxhound in at Aden. Again, those good British ASW, those are always great. We get a couple more subs down in at Balboa in 23 days. And then the Illustrious in at Cape Town in 36. That's the next carrier coming in. The Flying Fish. I love it. What a great sub name, the Flying Fish. Okay, those are kind of the highlights. I mean, really, the Illustrious coming in. Now that we've gotten the Hornet for the Americans, the next CV to come in is the Wasp. But before that, we get the Long Island in 2 months here at Balboa. So, I mean, I think these take 16 aircraft, maybe? Is that right? Yeah, aircraft capacity 16. So, we can get some more aircraft out. They can go around with the regular carriers and help out certainly. And then you see the Wasp comes in 79 days, so about 2.5 months approximately in at Balboa. So that comes right in at the Panama Canal. We'll get a destroyer down there with it. We'll have to send some destroyers down there, maybe. Actually, it looks like we get. Oh no, I guess not. I'd forgotten this part. Yeah, we get a full destroyer complement here. What is their ASW? It's a 6. That's pretty much the best the Americans can offer at this point. The British have that 8, as they had long been suffering with the German U-boats and had learned some tricks of the trade when it came to ASW work. The Americans taken a little while to catch up, but at least they're up to a 6 rather than the 2 that was very prevalent in the American Navy, certainly over the first month or two of this war. So that's ship availability. Ship withdrawal. We better check this out after I really made a mistake with the Joseph T. Dickman. Let's double sort. There we go. What's the next thing that comes up? There it is, the Dickman, negative 27 days. Then we have the Queen Elizabeth coming off on April 19th. That's currently sitting in Melbourne. Hell, we may just withdraw that sooner rather than later. The Queen Mary comes off. Then you can see we've got a lot of ships here that come off kind of in, late May or June that are in task forces right now. So we're going to have to make sure we really pay attention to that because this has been a disaster. Not getting this off the map, it's cost us an incredible number of points. I don't want to even add it up. And when I say points, I mean political points. It's not like they're victory points or something, but it's still something that you don't want to happen. Ground reinforcement schedule. Third Group Army, 21st Group Army. So these are headquarters coming in. First Army Tank Brigade, as part of the New Zealand Command, comes in at Auckland. Okay, well, everything we can get down there is great. The NCAC, the NCAC, comes into Suyung in the not too distant future. This is just another command in China. Um, AHQ Bengal comes into India at Calcutta, the 4th Indian Corps. So we're getting a lot of headquarters in here as the commands start to come in and flesh out a little bit. Now, the exciting ones here, for me anyway, 8th Marine Defense Battalion. I always like those defense battalions. 9th Marine Regiment. You can see the Americans starting to get a lot of Marines available. And then these 3 British brigades, which we really need. And then we also have the 26th Indian Division that comes into Madras. That will allow us to take the Australians and move them actually to Australia, which is pretty exciting in its own right. Um, let's see. Hawaii gets a couple of tank battalions. Okay. 32nd Infantry comes in 30 days. That is not locked. That is the Southwest Pacific. So we'll get a full infantry division that can go to the Southwest Pacific. That's excellent. Kind of looking through here because we've got a lot coming in. I like it. We need to get all of our transports over to Los Angeles as soon as we can. Um, okay. Let's just take a big look around the map and talk about anything that happened last time. There wasn't a ton of action that happened last time. Same old stuff, Abadan to Karachi, Aden to Karachi. I say that every video, but it's true. And then we have this transport, okay, that I'm bringing the third Hyderabad here into mail. This is a base force, right? I need to get a base force here because any aircraft that get damaged here are not currently getting repaired here at North Mail. You've got to get, some aviation support here. And so that's what I'm trying to bring here. Now, he's made it very difficult. We'll see if these guys make it all the way through. This base force is not a major one in any sense. I think I bought it out. I think it was locked to India and I bought it out. But anyway, it's got like 8 for aviation support. That's just what we need at North Mail. So we're running these good recon routes here, and he doesn't surprise us again. We've got this transport group, the decoy, the fortune. These guys all need to go either up to Aden. Yeah, they came out of Colombo. They need to go up to Aden. That's how I have them set. It's just not showing the path right now. So that's fine. And then I've got the test bank, which was also over in Colombo, that I've got heading to Cape Town. Karachi, India, not a whole lot more to talk about there. We talked about that division that's going to come in at Madras, which will allow us to take this massive 6th Australian division, take it up to Karachi, and then send it, through the pipes and then out and around Cape Town to get it to Australia. It'll take a while to get there, but we need to get it there as soon as we can. Um, what else do we have going on here? I don't really feel like there's anything too major to talk about in India or even Colombo. Same old, try to get as many aircraft here at Colombo, Calcutta, Rangoon. Now, the big thing to talk about in this area is Rangoon. We've gotten kicked out of Pagoo, which cost us not very much, right? So we've gotten kicked out of Mole Mine. We've gotten kicked out of Pagoo. I can't take you anyplace nice in Burma. No, we're back in Rangoon. And, I've refrained from making crab Rangoon jokes, and I applaud myself for that. Um, okay, Rangoon, what's happening? Well, there's no real reason to have bombers here. Uh, yes, would I like to do ground bombing? Sure, but really, our fighters have enough to worry about holding his bombers off, right? And getting in air to air with his fighters. So really, these bombers I'm going to transfer out of here and, just transfer to base, look around, how far do we want to go? I like how this is sorted by range. Probably back to Dhaka. This is where I've got a decent amount of aviation support and it's a decent sized airfield. Um, we could put them in Chittagong maybe, but I've been, and you may say, well, where the hell's Dhaka? Well, Dhaka's right here. It's just off of Calcutta, and I've already got some bombers there in training, so I'd probably take that back there. And then our fighters, we've got the Flying Tigers, of which you can see they've lost 41 air to air. They've lost 12 with the operational losses here. Um, and then they've lost one on the ground. Okay. We've only gotten 22 kills. That's the worst you'll ever see the Flying Tigers do. But they've just gotten ripped up here. 66 experience. I mean, the guys I have in here now, I'm starting, I'm trying to bring more in. We've lost so many pilots there. Um, that I've had to bring in pilots that aren't part of the group. Now I do try to limit myself to stay historical in the fact that the Flying Tigers basically stayed just the Flying Tigers. There were no new pilots for the most part that came in as replacements or something like that. So I try not to get too over the top about it. Just I don't want to get gamey. But anyway, I've got them up at a 40 cap. That's just, well, they don't have that much fatigue. Let's put them up at a 50. You kind of have to fly them at 15,000 feet. If you go down or above 16, now, you're down to a 15 maneuverability. The problem is the Japanese at the very least are coming in at 16 and sometime at 21, so they have a huge altitude advantage. And Lodrick, if you see those air battles and when we look at the combat summaries, you can see, he's coming in at those higher altitudes, which is very smart. I've got it at a 2 now. That was to protect Pagoo, but now we could really just have it at as a 0 and they could just fly straight over Rangoon. There's no reason to protect. If he's going to bomb up here, good for him, but it's going to be coming at Rangoon, right? Then we have parts of the 221 Group RAF, which are the Hurricane 2B Trops for the most part. And you can see here, we've got 9 left. We've lost 28 total, but they've got 37 kills. So these are our guys right here. And I think, yep, our guy Stone, he's the leader, 84 experience, 77 in the air. He is one of our aces. You can see his 6 kills. And we have a second ace here, A.N. Brooks, 74 experience, 70 in the air. These guys have stood tall indeed. 28 losses, 37 kills. Love it. Now again, they can go back to 0. The only thing they're protecting is Rangoon. They only have 6 fatigue. We'll pop that up to 50. I've got them flying at 20,000 feet, and you can see why they're only down to a 22 maneuverability, even up at 20,000 feet. So 20,000 feet's good. We could go a little higher. 19's still fine, right? We could go up to 25,000 feet, but I think I have another squadron at 25. Well, look at that. Look at that. Sometimes I do know something. 25,000 feet, their fatigue is 10. You really are looking at like 20 as being a hard cutoff to when you really want to rest these guys. But now he's going to be coming after Rangoon like crazy. You can see we've lost 14 of this group. We've got 12 kills. Any of these pilots? Yeah, there's Carey. He's got 5 kills, and then we have Fowl here who has 4, and Wapiti. that has force. So we've got one ace and two near aces out here, and you can see the really nice experience that some of these guys have and air-to-air combat ability. Then we move on to the next group of 2B traps. We've got 16 of these guys left. We actually only have 15 pilots here. We need to get some more. Um, and the way I do that is just click on Request a Veteran, go to air, but as you can see, the Brits don't have that many. I mean, we have lost a lot of British pilots. Now we could go to other squadrons, back here in India and look to see if any of those guys have trained up. And if they have, we can release them to the general reserve pool. I'll just give you an example of that. Instead of like having someone really good at Calcutta, which is now right now not under direct attack. We've got 16 pilots, 15 airframes. Let's look at the pilots. Okay, this guy, we want to keep him here as the squad leader, but we've got a 65-60, 63-62. That's pretty good. Right click there, send Watson not to the group reserve. Let's turn him back to the status. Watson, wait a minute. Am I doing this wrong? Transfer Watson to the group reserve. Yes. And then transfer him back to active status. No. I want you to go to the group reserve. No, to the overall reserve. There we go. Hold on. Am I going to have to put him in the group reserve first? Gosh, I've done this so many times that sometimes I forget. Now, the easiest way to do this is go to reserve and then do release pilot, but he's, most experienced. Actually, let's take King then. So most experienced to the reserve. So there's active, there's group, and there's reserve. Most experienced, and off he goes. And then we can go get um, request a veteran for these guys. So we don't want King to go, that's the guy we're trying to get down into Rangoon. Instead, we'll come take one of these guys, go to air, 49 and 54. Now he's going to have to be trained up. Now, Calcutta might not be the best place to be getting these from because Calcutta will. So I'm putting two in there. It may be like one of the fighter groups up here at Bombay, right? We've got fighter bombers up here, and if you go to the pilots here, yeah, like 66, 68 with Hicks, he might be the guy that you want to get out of here. Um, Certainly. So, you may just always keep in mind maybe having some pilots back here with good stats, just a couple in those. They help up train the other pilots, and then you can bring them down to the hot spots. And then if we go to Rangoon and we go into this group that only had 15 to 16, we request a veteran, we go to air, and there's that King, and we'll transfer him down into the 136th. Okay, so anyway, he's here at Pagoo, and then we're going to transfer these. I'll just do that. Let's go. Let's send this to Dhaka. There we go. Okay, and when he gets there, I'll turn him to training. So let's go training 100%. Training, ground attack, maximum range 0. Perfect. Okay, now we have all fighters out here, right? 44 aircraft. What do we have as far as on the ground? Well, you can see we've got 689. Now, some of these are disorganized. I say some of these. This is the only one I see. 10th Burma Rifles, that's disorganized, so it's essentially not going to have any AV. We've got some other things that got knocked pretty hard that have 0 AV. We got the 1st Burma Division. We've got Rangoon at a 3 of 9, building towards a 4, but now that's not going to matter. Let's get as much supply in there as we can so these guys don't run out. You can see that's already in red. Let's go. Actually, oh, I know where I'm trying to go. Let's go there. Supplies, we have 74.91 required, 42.23 per turn. So, I mean, we're getting, it's not like we don't get more in here, but we're cut off completely from getting any by sea. There's just nothing we could get in here now. He can bomb the crap out of us. So, We're not going to lose any more ships doing that. He is going to knock us out of here. You can see he's got 97,000 men, 762 guns, and 625 AFVs. You've got to figure that's at least 2,500, maybe 3,000 AV, and we've got 689. There's just, I mean, we're not going to stop him, right? So, where do we go next? Well, we'll probably get kicked back into this hex, and then I think we have to either drop, well, we'll start trying to drop back to Akyab. All right. Once we get back here, maybe we can make the decision and start fighting a guerrilla war from up here in the north, Shwebo, beyond Mandalay. So Shwebo, Mikitai, I always have a hard time with this one, Miktikkiana. No, that's not how you say it. But maybe Lashio. That one's easier. That's what I'll say is Lashio. Um, so eventually, that's what we're going to have to do is just run some kind of guerrilla war out of here, try to pressure him from the north. That way, if he funnels down this way and really tries to get into India this way, we can get around behind him potentially. What's more likely is he's going to set up his base here, bring even more troops in, and then try to land out at Calcutta, which is going to set off all kinds of craziness, especially if he lands at Calcutta and Colombo simultaneously or something. Given the way he's played this game, I would not find that shocking in the least. China. Let's talk about China very quickly. Of course, we've got the war area that's out here. They're not too busy yet. You may say, why not try to cross over the border here? We may eventually. We may have the Chinese help over here, but we've got all we can handle in China anyway. He's pressuring here at Wu Chao. Okay, this is the stack that always gets bombed out here in southeastern China. I've got them moving this way. Who knows if they'll ever get out? Really, I think I've got them moving this way. So they're on the major road. We're still in the same hex with this unit. It's only 12,000 men. I think we've got 7,800 infantry ourselves. We've got some guns out here. I think men-wise, now that said infantry, but I think overall we've got more men than he does. Um, but he's pressuring here at Wu Chao with the super army. You can see enemy units won. Well, they add up to about 120,000 men last we saw. I've got more stuff coming out here, and I've got a lot of strength at these places, but those super armies are hard to deal with. We're still standing strong here. Cheng Shao standing tall there. He hasn't really pressured, although he did pop us out of this hex here. I very much doubt he's got enough strength to follow up on that. And so now that third war area group can get down here to Hengyang, and finally it's out after starting in this area. We find one way or another, most of it is just him attacking us and pushing us one hex beyond. I Chang always has supply problems, not a whole lot to say about that. His other super armies are up here at Lan Chao. He's got 284,000 men at Lan Chao. He's also right here at Tianshu. I've got enough men, I think, to take Tianshu back, and I'm bringing you can see all the little divots on the counters here. They're all moving out here towards Tianshu. Now, I don't think we can take on a 284,000 man army, probably 300,000 when you add these guys on. But I'm going to get out here and try to move around him on every side, right? So anywhere he moves, I'm going to try to be in the hexes around him. He can come attack us, but we're going to continually try to cut off supply, run our partisan war that way. We've got stuff coming down the road from Yan'an, going east from Yan'an. Um, Down in the Philippines, we still have the flock of seagulls down here, still trying to do their business. We've got troops at Cagayan. He hasn't been able to take this yet. We've got a decent amount of strength here, and he just hasn't been able to crack it. But it's coming. I mean, we're at 413. The problem is we're going to run out of supply, and that's what happens at the Philippines. He's taken all of Borneo. He's almost taken all of Sumatra. He's now just outside of Palembang. It's only a matter of time before he takes Palembang. We do have some ship there. I don't remember what that is, but I'll bundle that. Oh, it's a local minesweeper. Okay, we'll just take it over here to Senkep or something like that. But he's taken the whole eastern part of Sumatra until we get down here, and he's about to take that as well. Java, you can see he's on the move. He's at Tajilajap, Banduang. He tried to take this last turn, although we did stand up there, and he was not able to take it. And then Batavia will be the final destination, to quote the movie. A lot of stuff coming into Perth. Of course, he's got a lot of submarine activity out here, but we now have a lot of destroyers in the area. Do I have anything down in the Southern Ocean? Not really. Up in this area, by Darwin, he's taken this string of bases just north of Darwin. Eventually, he'll get over here to Timor. Hasn't yet, but we still hold Kandari and Macassar as well. Denpasar. It's going to take him a while to kind of work through these bases, but eventually we're going to get to the point where he's sitting right here, and we're facing him down with those stone cold Australians. Maybe some Americans up here too. We'll see. Up and down the coast of Australia. mm, Nothing too exciting other than to say American troops have arrived. I mean, we've got Americans in a lot of these coastal cities now trying to hold that off. He has taken Port Moresby and Boona, of course, Rabaul. We're still sitting out here at Gazmata. He'll eventually take that. He wants the 6 points. It's 12 total, six for him, -6 for us. Uh, and then Maroc over here, we still hold that. I can't remember. I think his carriers had moved north on this turn, and we didn't see them anymore. This is where we lost the destroyer after he had moved through last time. But now that he's moved through, you can see I've got ships coming into Suva. We've got a lot coming into Pago Pago, but I think it's up and around the corner a little bit. Don't see them there. Got a lot of stuff heading to Auckland because eventually we're going to have to get our carriers out of mothballs and move them down here. Now, Suva, they could be at Sydney, they could be at Auckland, somewhere in this triangle. Hopefully, we'll turn that into a Bermuda Triangle. But I think I'm going to leave it there for this time. There's all kinds of stuff going up by Pearl, but like I said, for next time I'm making videos where we cover every single damn counter. So this just kind of a big overview. Got all kinds of stuff coming out from the coast here. You can see um, Alaska. Very interesting to talk about what's going on in Alaska. We've got units moving everywhere out to Adak. We've got stuff at Dutch Harbor, Cold Bay, Kodiak, Seward. So, I mean, a lot of stuff going on there too. But we'll talk about all of that next time. Thank you so much for joining me. I love this game. It's my favorite game, without a doubt. It is just so inclusive. It's incredible everything they put in this game, just like we just talked about the pilots. That's just amazing, the level of detail. So, anyway, Strategy Gaming Dojo. I'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.